Hi guys, welcome back. This is Marguerite with Wreaths by Marguerite, and we are back again for a tutorial for one of the kits I have in my Etsy shop. You can find this there under the kit sections or just type in Patriotic. This is the last of our Patriotic kits for the year, so get them while you can. In the next hour, we're going to put it together piece by piece so that you understand very clearly how easy it really is to make one of your own. This is what's called a storm door wreath. What is a storm door wreath? It's the same thing as a pancake wreath, just a little different verbiage. I found that a lot of my customers were confused when I called my wreaths pancake wreaths. So calling it storm door, gets down to the brass tacks. It's thin. It's under 4 inches deep, so that it will fit behind a storm or a screen door, which the clearance there is usually about 4 inches, so this works out perfectly. Even if your door smushes it down a little bit, it doesn't look smushed, it just lays it down flatter. You can either fluff them up with your hands, the ribbon, to make it a much fuller look if you're not putting it behind a screen door. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I was excited about this one. I always love doing Patriotic, so get yourself a drink, sit down, and take a look at what's going on. Here we go. All right, let's go over the supplies. First of all, you have your waterproof Patriotic sign with the welcome on it. If you purchase the kits or purchase the kit, I've already attached cable tie mounts on the back, these little black blocks. First, I put super glue behind them, and there is a sticky pad on them. So I put some super glue on that, have it adhere to the back of the sign, and then I go back with hot glue around the outside edge of the cable tie mount. Using just hot glue to adhere these to signs is not going to be enough, because in extreme heat and in extreme cold, cable tie mounts will pop off if you just use the hot glue. So I use both. The hot glue is mainly so that I can put the sign on the wreath pretty quickly. It dries so quickly. That gives the super glue plenty of time to cure. But of course, if you're buying a kit from me, they'll be more than cured and ready to go. And then I've taken 2 pipe cleaners, cut them in half to get 4 pieces to put on all 4 corners. They match the pipe cleaners that are on the frame. That's usually how I do it. So that is the first thing. I'm going to put that to the side because we won't need that for a while. The next thing I have is my ribbon. I'm going with 2 2.5-inch wide ribbons, and I'm going with 1 1.5-inch ribbon. You can eliminate this entirely if you don't want to do 3, but if you're only doing 2, I highly recommend them both being either 2.5 inches, or one of them being 2.5 inches and one of them being a 4-inch ribbon. That looks good too. If you use this is perfect. If you want to use 2 1.5-inch ribbons and 1, you can do that as well. Just know that you're not going to get as much coverage of the mesh the more 1.5-inch wide ribbons that you use. Now, when you purchase the kit, you'll receive 3 to 6 bundles of your ribbon. Why 3? 3 or 6? 6 would be because I had to take your ribbon off of more than 1 roll. And do not worry, I make sure the color matches perfect as well when I do that. So you might get 2 bundles of 6. If you get 1 bundle of each, you're going to have 12 in the bundle, okay? For the sake of time, I've already prepped all but 4 of each of the colors so that we can get through the video quicker. When I get to the ribbon cutting section, I will remind you again that you can refer back to the videos from the beginning of 2024 for the kits. That is where you will find super duper duper detailed instruction and troubleshooting ideas for if you make a boo-boo with your ribbon. I go into super detail, but I just didn't think it was necessary to do on every single video. Plus, that encourages you to watch some of my other videos. It's very easy. You get 1 extra piece usually of each of the ribbons so that if you make a mistake, you have some room to work with without sacrificing the look of your wreath. I will talk about it when I get to the cutting phase, but I would always cut your ribbon 1 piece at a time so that you don't make a boo-boo and it affects the entire pile, okay? So let me put these aside because I won't need the ribbon for a little bit. And here is our base. These two are the base of our wreath. The mesh is your solid foundation that helps hold up your ribbon. And then this is a flat base with 4 rings on it. It's a 14¼ inch wreath base, wire wreath base. It's got to have the 4 wires on it, and it's got to have the 6 crossbars for this pancake style, storm door thin style wreath style to work. Okay, we attach 6 pipe cleaners on the outside 2 rings, which is rings 1 and 2, and we attach those at the crossbars. When you purchase the kit, this is all done for you. And then the other 6 pipe cleaners are attached to rings 3 and 4 in between the crossbars. So that's how you are able to keep this profile wreath as thin as possible. It's 6 on the outside, 6 on the inside, and they're in between, so they lie nicely on top of each other as well. Okay, and then here is the mesh we're using in this design. It is what's called 10-inch mesh, 10 inches this way. And they are all pre-cut for you if you purchase the kit. If not, you should know, if you don't have a kit, you should know it's 10 inches this way, and they're pre-cut 20 inches this way, okay? If you're looking at mesh and you happen to find some that's 11 or 12 or 9 or 9½ inch, that will work as well. 12 is pushing it. Anything in that range will work. But the best fit for this style is the 10 inch this way, okay? Depends on where you buy it. I think a lot of the stuff at Joann's, which rest in peace, was 9½. I can't remember without looking at some rolls, but sometimes they're either 10 or 10½ inches for the most part. So there's 12. Let's go over this one more time. There's 12 twist ties in your frame. There's 12 pieces of mesh that you'll need, and then you'll need 12 pieces of each of the ribbon. So that's the common theme. There's a lot of 12s in this project. As you grow in your learning and your skill and your comfort, I would recommend branching out and trying maybe 13-inch tails. These were made in the bundles that they're in by just wrapping the ribbon around a 12-inch ruler. It makes it super easy to cut your ribbon then because you're cutting it all at once. Okay. All right, so let's start with the first step. We don't need ribbon right now. I need a clip. You should have a chip clip or something like that around. You also should have some wire cutters and a good pair of scissors that you only use basically on ribbon or fabric. I use a Fiskar brand. That's my favorite. And then let's see, whatever. If you were doing this on your own, you would need a rotary cutter to cut your mesh. This stuff right here. And then you'd need a cutting mat like this. I keep the cutting mat on the table all the time because it protects the table. And this won't go through it. So these are available at all your craft suppliers. This one here is from Deco Exchange. They have a lot of great products there. They're also going to be found in your fabric stores because you use these to cut fabric for quilting. Okay, won't need that today. And I also keep a pair of needle nose around for pulling these pipe cleaners on the sign over here through the mesh. I won't do that today. I will use an embroidery needle. I'll use the orange one because it's brighter. This is a 6-inch plastic embroidery needle, and I'll show you how I pull the pipe cleaners through the frame without losing my temper. I was trying to figure out how to place it. How to say it without putting any curse words in there. I'm trying. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I do is remind everybody that when you're working on these, don't put a lot of strain on your back if you don't have to. Don't try to work over here when you can bring everything to you. So as you're working on the wreath, I recommend turning it and having the piece you're working on directly in front of you. So the first thing I'm going to do is, since we're going to build the outside layer first, I'm going to take the pipe cleaners and pull them out horizontal to me. Turn it horizontal to me. Turn it horizontal to me. See how I'm turning it and doing the work once it's in front of me? and then the last one, and then the other 6 are pulled to the center of the frame to keep them out of the way while we're working on the outer ring. I work with my frame just a little to the side, so I'm turned a little bit, and there's where I'm going to work first, okay? Also, a note, I'm left-handed, so if any of this looks backwards to you, that's probably why. I cannot do it right-handed. I apologize, so we'll work with it, okay? So to make the poofs that you put on here, that keep them less than 4 inches deep once the wreath is done, you want to take the curl side down on your mesh, and you want to fold it in half on one end, and take that chip clip, or whatever clip you're going to use, and put it right there. I don't really need a clip to find my center on this mesh, because it's very obvious where the center of the mesh is. It's the blue stripe down the middle. That's the benefit of a patterned mesh. This one's all plastic tinsely too, so it's 100% water resistant. But some of the other ones are harder to see. If you're using a solid colored mesh, it's going to be harder to find your center. So that's why that chip clip is important, because it allows you to have a focal point to gather your mesh up to. And it also holds the curl flat on the table for the most part. So that's a dual purpose. Once again, another tool that you don't have to go out and purchase. Most people have some sort of clip around the house that they can use. As a matter of fact, all of these tools, except for maybe the embroidery needle, are things you probably have at home or in a toolkit, which would be good for your beginners. Don't go out and invest a bunch of money until you're ready to really dive in. So, all right, so that one is done. I folded it in half. I put the clip in the center. So I would do the same thing on this end and find it with my finger. Easy, like I said, because this one's pretty simple to find the center. I'm going to take my thumbs on the outside of the mesh, and I'm going to take both hands, and I'm going to creep up the mesh towards the clip, watching the clip and watching my hands, keeping as centered as possible as I am gathering it. And I'm not going all the way up there to gather. I'm bringing it to me. Again, the less strain on your back, the better. Some people do this standing. A lot of people do it standing. I do a little of both. I can't sit and stand for long periods of time. So now that I've got it all gathered, I've taken that off, and I'm going to hold it loosely in my thumb and forefinger, so loosely so I can match up the edges on both sides so we complete a circle. And if you have to adjust it, you grab down by your fingers, not up at the edge. Never grab your mesh at the edge area, because you're going to end up disturbing the design, and you can't really fix that. And you don't want your customers to see really wavy mesh. So there's that. Now once I'm ready, I'm going to take the frame in front of me, and I'm going to have the pipe cleaners vertically that I've already placed, and I'm going to take the mesh using both hands and place it in the frame vertically. So the mesh is vertical, the pipe cleaner is horizontal on this outer layer with mesh, actually with all the mesh. Tightly, I'm going to pull this pipe cleaner tight and low, twist it 3 times. 2 times is enough, but 3 times makes it more secure. You want to do it tight and low so that you're keeping the thickness of the wreath to a minimum. We need to keep it under 4 inches if this is going to go on a storm door, between the storm door and your regular door. So then you're going to take the outside cut edge of your mesh over the inside cut edge on one side, and then you're going to take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge on the other side. Now if your edges don't match up, so like this matches up, but if it doesn't, and I'll probably have one in a minute that I'll have to adjust, but I'm going to adjust it because it's not a perfect circle out here. They're going to be able to see here. They're not going to be able to see here because this is going to all be covered once all the other elements are in. So if you have to make any adjustments, I always hold it with one hand by the pipe cleaner, and you never ever ever pull it from the outside to adjust it. You bring your fingers in and up right next to the pipe cleaner to pull it out if you need to make any adjustments. Now this is really pointy. I don't like that. So I need to go to the other side, and I need to do the same thing. Grab it all the way down by the pipe cleaner to get rid of that, okay? And then if it'll let you, Mesh is pretty fickle. Try to turn the outside edges under, never grabbing from the edge. So this is still sticking out a little farther than I want to, so it's not, I'm just going to bring the rest of it out just a little bit. Since it's 10-inch mesh, basically you want to make sure 5 inches of the mesh is on this side of the pipe cleaners and 5 inches of the mesh on the inside. That way you get your circle. Keeping in mind, if you can't get it exactly perfect, you can take it out and re-ruffle it and put it back in. But I find that somewhere between there and there, a lot of the times it adjusts. So it's better just to do it in here and do what I did with the holding of the pipe cleaner and pulling from the interior of the mesh. This needs to come out a little bit more right there. There we go. So there's our first ruffle. There it is. It doesn't look great right now, but once it's all in there, it's going to be really beautiful. So when I put the mesh in, I don't do every one. You can go around and do each and every one right after the other. You can do that all you want. I put it in every other, so I'll do this one and then this one next, then I'll come back and do the other 3. I find that it helps it lay a little flatter and just gives it a more, I like the design of it too. I guess that's the best way to put it. I like to use the end of the edge of the table to unroll my mesh. I'm putting it in the center. And then I'm going to come back over here and do the same thing again, but I'm not going to clip it because I'm going to immediately start to ruffle it. Oh, before I go any further, this mesh is an exact mirrored image of the design on both sides of the center. You'll find with some of the plaids and other designs and other stripes, this edge might be red and this edge might be blue. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that when you're making your wreaths. You can watch some of my other videos here on YouTube to see how I handle that. But since it's the same, we don't have to worry about flip-flopping our mesh once we get it in the wreath, okay? Anyway, so back to ruffling. Gathering this up the middle with 2 hands. Staying in that blue stripe. Focusing on that clip at the top so it also helps us stay centered. It likes to get... None of us are perfect gatherers, but it likes to get us off track. I hate that. So let's see. I'm holding it with my thumb and forefinger, making sure the edges, making sure I'm holding it loose so that I can move it out without damaging the design. And I'm going to put this in vertically. Okay. Twist. Low. And 3 times. Okay. 2's enough, but I like to do 3 most of the time because that way if I have to manipulate the mesh at all, it won't untie on me right in the middle of it. I've had that happen. So I'm putting that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. That got caught up in there. Get out of there. There you go. All right. So I'm going to bring this out by holding the pipe cleaner. This is really cockeyed. Usually the first few I make in a wreath, I'm adjusting. It is what it is. This one was a little worse than that one. Alright. Now I keep saying outside cut edge over inside cut edge. What am I talking about? Well, the reason that we put the mesh in the frame vertically is so that the cut edges of the mesh are right here rather than this way. This way, every edge that's been cut on your mesh is inside and protected so that it can't snag on anything. If you do it the other way, you still have some unfinished, meaning cut edges out here that can be seen or caught on things. This eliminates the possibility of that happening. I still didn't like that, so I'm adjusting it a little more. I'm going to use the table to make sure I'm no more than 5 inches. Yep, we're good. Why is that important that it's not more than 5 inches beyond the frame? Is because you want to make sure all your ruffles are the same so that you don't have one juting out further than the others, and then it makes your wreath look off balance. So I'm going to uncurl at the table. fold it in half, put my clip in the center, which is the blue stripe. Lay it out, curl side down on the table, fold it over, gather it at the center. This one keeps trying to make me go to the right. When we get to the next layer, I will show you the other way I gather this. And I haven't, just another note, and I haven't tried it yet. There are meshes that come out, particularly around the holidays, particularly at like a Hobby Lobby, that have a pull tab that goes down the center of the 10-inch mesh. I'm curious if that really works well for this technique and how I would incorporate it in. So maybe I'll get a roll and try it on a video. Might be a little more consistent gathers, but you know, this is handmade. We are not perfect in the handmade world. This stuff is made with love, right? Okay, I've got everything ready. I held it with my thumb and forefinger loosely so I could adjust it. Now I'm putting the mesh in the horizontal pipe cleaner. It should be easy to keep it centered because we know that blue stripe is in the very center. So I put the mesh in vertically, twisting the pipe cleaner low and tight 3 times. And I try to remember to lift, and I don't always, but I try to remember to lift them out of the way so they're not in my way while I'm working with the mesh. Okay, so I'm going to bring that outside cut edge over that outside cut edge, inside cut edge, that outside cut edge over this inside cut edge. So now see, that came out way better to begin with. I still need to bring this one out just a little bit more, so I'm holding it by the pipe cleaner, and I'm going to bring it out a little bit more so that those edges are even, and I'm grabbing it right at the pipe cleaner so I am not sacrificing the integrity of the design. So there you go. That works. So now we're going to go back and do the other 3 for this layer. Keep it out of my hair. Fold it in half after I put it curl side down. Put my clip in the center. Go to the other end. Fold it in half to find my center, and then just start ruffling, keeping my thumbs on the outside, gathering the mesh into my thumbs. Okay, mostly my left one. You will find, if you experiment a little with how the technique is done, what is your favorite and most effective technique. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get into it. Nope. Okay, let me get my adjustments made, and I'm going to bring it over to the frame. Now, what just happened was the edge of the wreath got stuck on that roll of mesh out there. Makes me think of another thing you need to remember. Make sure you have plenty of workspace so that everything isn't hitchhiking on your mesh as you turn the wreath. 2, 3 times I twisted it tight and low. Taking that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. And that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Now, mesh frays. There isn't a solution. Some people use a wood burner to semi-seal their mesh. You can do that with the all plastic, but you don't want to do that with the fabric mesh because you might start a fire. But as you're going around, if you see any random strings hanging out, that's the best time to remove all that fray so that you don't have to go back and look at it for it later. Clean it up as you go. All right. 2 to go on this layer. I'm going to use that table again to unroll it. Fold it in half. Find my center and clip it. And go to the other side. Fold it in half. I don't even have to fold it in half with this. So on the second layer I'm not going to fold it in half because we all know by now that that blue stripe in the center is the very center of the mesh. So we'll go with it. Just remember, if you're using a solid colored mesh, definitely do the folding technique. Or you can use your cutting mat to measure each piece and find your center that way, or have a ruler. A 12-inch ruler is handy to have around because when you're doing 12-inch tails like we are in this project, it's perfect for measuring out your ribbon and getting it all cut and folded at the same time. All right, I put that mesh in there vertically to the horizontal pipe cleaner. I'm going to twist that tight and low 3 times. And then bring it up and out of the way. And we're going to take that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge on one side. Now, you noticed I'm having to fuss with the one next to it on both sides because we now have that. Where when we put the first 3 in, there was nothing else on the frame. There we go. There we go. All right. Thought I saw a fray. There are some clear fibers in this one, so it's harder to see them sometimes. I don't have my glasses on because I don't like them. Okay. Last but not least for this layer. I work better close up without the glasses on. Distance, that's a different story. Okay, one more time, fold it in half. Find your center and clip it. Move it over there. Do the same thing on the other end to find your center, and then just start gathering all the mesh into your thumbs, using all of your fingers to crawl up the mesh, gathering it as you go, bringing it down towards you so you're not straining your arms, hands, or back. Take the clip off. Put it in your thumb and forefinger. Loosely adjust your mesh as needed by not grabbing the outside edge. Grabbing further in to make sure everything matches up. Bring the frame back over with the pipe cleaner horizontal. You're now going to grab it and put the mesh in vertically. I two-hand it because I find that keeps me more likely to stay centered when I'm putting it in the frame. I'm doing a tight twist 3 times, tight and low. And the reason we don't twist up towards the ceiling, again, is to keep this as thin as possible. Because if you twist it 3 times upwards, it's going to end up putting the ribbon in and it's going to make it that much thicker. If you're not using this for behind a storm door, there's a little more leeway there, but don't do too much. Don't twist up too much because then you'll run out of pipe cleaner to put your ribbon and or signs in. There are a lot of signs that have holes in them already, so what you usually do is you take your pipe cleaners and use that to attach them from these mesh pieces. So outside cut edge over inside cut edge, outside cut edge over inside cut edge. And now you have your first layer of mesh built in. Alright, so now we get to play with the ribbon. Before we get started, I'm going to have you put your pipe cleaners vertical. So when you're attaching your ribbon, the pipe cleaners are vertical. When you're attaching your mesh, the pipe cleaners are horizontal. So ribbon up and down, mesh left and right with the pipe cleaner. Again, having this prepared before you have to go put the ribbon in means less frustration. So I have most of the sets done. Let me pull one out of here. The bundles, I should say. So I have chosen in this design to put the fireworks on top, the white solid in the middle to break up the 2 designs, and the plaid on the bottom. And after I've finished prepping them all, I put them into bundles like this with the finished side on the inside so that it's easy and ready to go for the project, okay? So we're going to take these last 4 of each, and I'm going to show you exactly how to prep them. I'm going to do the solid last because I've got some tips and tricks for when you get to them as well that are important. All right, so all your ribbon is folded in bundles, so what you're going to do is open it up to where the center is and put a couple fingers, 1 or 2 fingers in the middle to separate the front section of the bundle from the back. That's important because right now, this side of the stack, the finished side is facing the ceiling. this side of the stack, the finished side is facing the table. So we're going to cut at the top ends on both sides. All of the bundle all at once. So we're immediately going to take this part of the bundle that was on the bottom out and flip it onto the top of that. Now you have the finished side up on all your pieces, so you don't have to question which is which. This one is easy too. We immediately fold each piece in half evenly and give it a nice solid crease on the bottom. And you do that with all your pieces. Don't worry if you didn't cut it perfectly up here, because you're still going to put these cute little dovetail designs on there. And then there's this one. I do all the steps as I go. I don't cut them all, then fold them all, because if for some reason you have to walk away from your project and they get knocked off the table, you're going to end up spending time going, which is the right side, which is the wrong side, especially with the solid colored ribbon. So I'm going to fold that. Now these are all done. So why I do it that way is, for example, with solid colored ribbons, it's very difficult to tell the finished side from the unfinished side. You have to have a pretty good eye. A lot of us do, but I never want to leave a doubt in my mind whether I have the ribbon in the project correctly. So this alleviates that for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do these while I have them in my hand. I'm going to put a couple pieces in the middle. They've already been folded, so you know that this cutting right here and cutting right here at the other end will get you 12-inch pieces of ribbon. So this one was finished side facing up. So this was the back, so the finished side was facing down. So I'm going to flip it immediately, and I'm going to fold them immediately. That way, if they get knocked off of the table, or I have to walk away from the project for a while, I don't come back and second guess myself as to what I did and if it's in the right direction. It just makes sense. Yes, your customer and anybody else that's looking at it may or may not see the difference if you put a solid colored ribbon in with the wrong direction, but you will. And if you're anything like me, what do I do here? Okay. If you're anything like me, tongue twister there apparently, you're going to notice it and it's going to bug you. So a couple fingers in the middle, cut at the top, and cut it down again down at the bottom to get your 12-inch strips. Take that. Now this is very apparent what the front and the back look like. So that's easy, but I still do it out of habit and routine. There we go. So let's fold these in half. Get these last 4 folded. And now we are going to cut all of these. All right. So when you cut these, you take that folded side down on the table and your cut side towards the ceiling. And then, as one of my mentors say, fold it like a taco. You're going to fold it directly in half so the wires are even with each other. Fold side down, cut side up. You have a new fold here. You're going to cut from this fold to the wire up towards the ceiling at an angle. And that is how you get this beautiful dovetail. It's called a dovetail, a ducktail, or just bees. Most of us call it dovetails. So there's one. Folded side down. Make sure those wires are even before you even start folding. Fold it in half. Cut it from the new fold to the wire at a 45-degree angle. Now you can cut these deeper, but you don't want to do that with this kind of project, because if you fold it deeper, you're gonna cut it deeper. You're going to get a much deeper V, and when you get a very deep V on this, your ribbon is going to buckle on itself much more easily. So we want to avoid that. Okay. If I have a spare set at the end, I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. Let me count how many bundles I have. So if that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I have a lot of extras. So, okay. I will use the red to show you the sample. Let me go ahead and do that now, okay? This is a no-no. Folding in half, wire to wire. That's right. Folded side down on the table. Fold it in half. So normally I cut it right here at a 45-degree angle. Let's go ahead and go way deep. See how much deeper that V is? Can you see now how why it might buckle like that? If you do that, you can correct it. You're going to lose a little length on your ribbon by folding in half again, just like you did prior. But you're going to take that cut, still going to start at this point in the same place. You're just going to angle your scissors more so that you get a good cut. Okay, that's a spare, so we won't be using that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the rest. There are other mistakes that you can make, but if you follow this instruction precisely, you will not have a problem and you'll have a couple extra pieces of ribbon. So folded side down, cut side up, fold it in half, wire to wire evenly, cut from the new fold to the wire. Let's get these all cut. Folded side down, cut side up, cut from the fold to the wire towards the ceiling. Folded side down, cut side up, cut from the new fold to the wire. Why is it so important to remember folded side down? Because if you do it this way and you do all the things and cut it, you are going to have 2 pieces of ribbon, and you cannot recover from that. I suppose you could glue or sew them together. That's a lot of extra work if you're down to the last of your supplies, but just don't do that. Let me put it in the trash. We're not keeping that. All right, so let's do these last ones with the plaid. Folded side down, make sure your wires are even. This is a thinner woven ribbon, so it likes to move a little more, so you really gotta play with it to get it even. Folded side down, cut side up, fold it directly in half, wire to wire, cut it from the new fold to the wired edge. All right, 2 more to go. Probably only 1, so I'm only going to do this last one. So, folded side down, cut side up, wire to wire, make sure those wires are even, cut it at a 45-degree angle. Okay, I'm going to leave this aside in case we need it for some reason. I do all of the ribbon at once. You can do it all at once or do the first 6 for the first layer and the second 6 after you get the second set of mesh in. It's up to you. I like to get it done all at once, so I'm done making a mess with it. Okay, so the next thing that you want to do is you want to make bundles based on how you want it placed on the wreath. So the very center piece of ribbon should be the ribbon you want on top. Then the second ribbon, your center ribbon. And then this is your back ribbon, so it goes on last into the bundle. Having the bundles ready, everything nice and creased, makes it easier for when it's time to actually use it. One inside of the other, inside of the other. Make sure that crease is nice and crisp. Put that in there. This would be a good time to clean your table of any residue from everything you've done so far. Best tool I've found on a cutting mat, because it gets even the littlest of glitter out of it, is a Swifter. I know I'm throwing it on the floor, but I have a big mat underneath me to sweep later on. I usually do that at the end of the day. All right, so now it's time to pull out 6 of your bundles. 3, 4, 5, and we'll use the sample one, so we'll come back to that. All right. So now you're going to need your wire cutters. Put this back together. And I'm going to put it to the side for now because I want a fresh one for showing you. So we're going to go ahead and open up our bundle here on the table. Give yourself plenty of room to work. You are going to ruffle it where it was creased down the center, and so that as much of your ribbon will show at on the bottom layer. I always turn the tails out towards me, away from the table, so an upside down V, like that, before I put it in the frame. That helps the ribbon stay pointed to the edge of the wreath, because on this bottom layer, the only ribbon you're going to see is what's pulled out to the edge. I'm going to take the pipe cleaner and I'm going to put it tight, just like before. Tight and low, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to twist up on this one. About 6 to 8 times. What I'm looking to achieve is a 1-inch twist, and I'm going to cut with the wire cutters the excess above the twist off. Throw it in the trash, because we're going to use this stub to push down into the wreath to hold it in place. We are going to position the ribbon so that it's right in front of us, lifting the top 2 pieces of ribbon up and out of the way, and place the bottom ribbon first. I pulled it into place. I'm running my finger over the wired edges to make sure it's smooth and not wrinkled or bent. I'm going to lift the top 2 from each other, and I'm going to place the second ribbon where I want it. Then, last but not least, I'm going to bring down the ribbon that I want on top down here. Now, on this side, the pattern I went with was plaid on the inside and fireworks on the outside. This side, I'm going to do it the opposite. The white will be in the middle regardless. And see how that helps bring that ribbon out to the outer edge of the wreath? I'm going to bring this a little bit further out so you can see a little bit further. There we go. And I'm dressed to match today. Okay, so we're going to bring these 2 up and away from the bottom one. This time we're going to bring that ribbon down towards the edge. We're going to lift that one out of the way and bring the white one to the center, smoothing it as we go. And now the red firework on top. It gets little bubbles in the ribbon up towards the base of the pipe cleaners. That's from gathering. It's not completely avoidable, but you just take your fingers and push it up and open. So I'm positioning. I like to hold it down with my hand right here while I move my ribbon. And just like with the mesh, you never want to hold your ribbon from the outside cut edge when you're adjusting it, because it will fray too. Not as easily as the mesh, but still. There's no point in taking a chance. So now I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the mesh. I'm going to skip one and go here. It's especially nice to do every other if you do 2 different sets of ribbon tails, 2 different design combinations in your bundles, so that you can put all of one in first and all of the other in after that. Okay? Get this done and then I'll explain it again on the next few. Okay, I'm going to tuck that in. You don't even have to tuck it all the way in. You can just make sure it's facing the inside of the wreath on this layer only, because it's going to be covered by the next layer of mesh and the next layer of ribbon. So let me get these positioned, and then we'll go to the next one and I'll do the detail again. You can just watch on this one. Okay. That's that. Turn it, and don't fuss too much with fluffing of this ribbon. Just make sure it's facing the outside of the wreath, because there's no doubt that at the end you'll fluff the whole wreath again. So the less you're handling the product, the better. Okay. Hold it down. Taking great care not to pull on the cut edges. Alright, got a hitchhiker here. Okay. So, open up your bundle. Ruffle up where the crease is, which is your center. Hold it with your thumb and forefinger. Bring the rest of the tails down to the edge of the table evenly on both sides. Then you're going to bring it up and into the frame. Wrap the pipe cleaner around it tight and low 3 times. 1, 2, 3 twists, then twist in an upward fashion towards the ceiling till you create a 1-inch stub. I call them stubs. 1-inch twist. Cut the untwisted portion of the pipe cleaner off and throw it away, and tuck that. That's a stub right there. Into the frame. Then you are going to position your ribbon. Bring the top 2, or if you only have 2 ribbons total, bring the top 1. So place the first ribbon where you want it, then lift and separate the top 2, place the second one where you want it, And then place the third one where you want it, popping those little bubbles that the gathers out. Okay, same thing here. Separate the bottom from the others, bring it out to the center, bring the white and then red. All right, so this white likes to hide. That's part of why I've been using less and less 1.5 inch ribbon on my wreaths, because a good half of the time it likes to hide under the other ribbon. So 2 nice quality ribbons are a great alternative that are 2.5 inches. So we've done the first 3. This is starting to look really festive. So now we're going to go back and do the other 3. Let me do this one before I forget about it and go, oh my gosh, I'm out of supplies. Okay. Get it back where it was. What this was my test piece. When I'm making kits, I try to do a test run of 1 ruffle. That's what this was, and we'll still use it probably, maybe. And the ribbon, and with the right pipe cleaners to match up next to the sign to see if that looks like it's a good match. I try not to cut more than 1 piece of each when I'm first trying to calculate out what I'm going to do. Okay, I twisted it tight and low 3 times, then I twisted it up to make a 1 inch twist, and I'm going to lift and separate again. Continuing with the same pattern all the way around on this layer. Straightening out my ribbon. This this one has a very strong wire in it, but it's not as stiff as the white and the fireworks ribbon, so it takes a little bit more care when you're prepping it. But it's good to have a variety of different textures and styles and prints. Shoot, I could have done all printed or all solid color ribbon in this if I'd wanted to, but I like the mix of both. That's just me. I like how the solid color ribbon breaks up the patterns as well. But there's no wrong way of doing it. You just want to take the sign you have and look at the colors. And those are the colors you want, and you can do any design you want. You want something with stars, you could do something with stars. You want something with stitching, you can do something with stitching because there's stitching in that. Okay, now let's just ruffle that up, do our thing, pulling it outwards on both ends, and place it in the frame. Shoot, your ribbon could not match exactly to the sign colors. If there's a color in your mesh that is not in your sign, you can use that as a guide as well for your ribbon choices. So remember that. A solid colored mesh would also be good since you have all these patterns too. That would help the patterns stand out more. It's really entirely up to you. I like lots of designs and brightness, and yeah. Get those separated. Oh, I forgot to twist it up. Cut the excess off that's not been twisted and tuck it in. All right. Last but not least on this layer, open your bundle, gather it at the crease, hold it with your thumb and forefinger, bring the edges to the edge of the table, an upside down V, put it in your vertical pipe cleaners, twist tight and low 3 times, then twist up to create a 1 inch twist, cut the untwisted section of the pipe cleaner off, tuck this in, lift and separate your ribbon, placing it as you go, popping those little bubbles at the top out. Last but not least, this side. So we did the other side with the plaid up, this side we're doing the plaid down, and the firecracker was down on the other side of this bundle. Now it's up. What's giving me fits here? What is my issue? I didn't pull it hard enough away from the pipe cleaner, so I couldn't get it. It was at one with the white one. That's why it's so important that you lift and separate. Put a little elbow into it. It won't hurt the product. Don't go crazy, though. Okay, so now the first layer is done. Now we're going to go in and we're going to, pardon me, bring the pipe cleaners up in between each piece of mesh that are on rings 3 and 4. Those were this outer layer was the pipe cleaners on rings 1 and 2. Now we're doing the pipe cleaners on rings 3 and 4. Bringing them up and positioning them how we're going to use them. Horizontal to us. Bring them up. Lift. Bring it horizontal. That's 2. We got 4 more. 3. Just bring it up between that mesh. This is going to be hidden in the center when we're done. You won't see any of those inner workings. Up and out. Horizontal. 2 to go. Bring it up in between. Don't try to pull the pipe cleaners through the mesh. Don't pull it through the mesh. It's in between the mesh. Okay. And last but not least, the 6th one. Horizontal and open. Got some fray there I need to take care of. And if it looks like I'm throwing things on the floor, I'm not. There's a trash can out there. Alright, so now it's time to play with the last 6 pieces of mesh. Okay. It's curlier as you go into the roll of mesh because it's got a tighter curl hair. So remember that. I really like the idea of using the table to open it up. Okay, remember I said I'm not going to use the clip for finding the center. I know the center's here because it's the blue stripe. I'm just using it now to hold the curl open. So now on these 6, I'm going to show you the second way that I gather mesh. I'm still going to start out the same by finding my center and putting my thumbs on the outside edge and gathering into my thumbs just for a few moments. Then I'm going to take one hand off and hold it up here and gather it into one hand using all my fingers to gather, following that blue stripe. Pull the clip off. I find I get much more accurate circles right off the bat, less adjusting. Okay. Just sticking to everything. There's a lot going on in this wreath now, so it's gonna be mind over matter now to get that mesh in there. Tight and low, I'm twisting this. Tight 3 times and low. 2, 3. Taking the outside edge that's cut over the inside cut edge. Perfect on that side. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Okay, so somehow that didn't end up even. This is about 1 inch out. So I'm going to hold it by the pipe cleaners and I'm going to pull it out just a little more down over here to even it up. Did that work? No, it did not. I need to get that. It dipped in here a lot. That's why I couldn't get it up there. So everything's in the blue. Everything's good to go. Put this out of the way. Skip one. We're going here. Stay. Alright. Clipping it at the blue stripe because we know that's the center. And then I'm just going to use 2 hands to start. And then I'm going to continue with 1 hand above. Having it 1 hand above also helps hold your mesh flat because like I said, we're getting further into the roll of mesh, so the curls are tighter, so they're more resistant to staying flat. A couple of pieces that were hitchhiking, so I frayed it a little, but barely. So we'll just get that cut off right away. I'm left-handed, so I'm trying to cut this right-handed, which always makes me look awkward. Okay. Okay, so that means we want this one. And I don't like to do everything exactly the same every single time. If you'll notice, sometimes I turn the wreath to the left, sometimes I turn it to the right. Gotta have a little variety. Tight and low 3 times. Take the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge on that side. You can't see it, but there's a lot of clear fibers in this mesh, so they stick up. I need to get them off right away because I'll never find them again. I mean, if I don't find them, the customer can't find them, but that's not the point. I like to have a clean project. Okay, hold it from the pipe cleaners and bring it out a little bit more. And any minute I'm gonna sneeze. Skip that one, go here. Pardon me. Okay, my next piece, I skipped a pipe cleaner. I clip my center using the edge of the table to uncurl my mesh because it's always curl side down. And gather with 2 hands, switching to one, holding the mesh down with the other. Get that in my thumb and forefinger. Sounds like my dog is throwing things around upstairs. Probably her bone. Getting that in there centered on the blue stripe. Tight and low. 1, 2, 3. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge on this side. Outside cut edge over the inside cut edge on this side. Make any adjustments by grabbing it down at the base of the pipe cleaners. Those all look like they are good to go. Okay. Now we've done the first 3, it's time to do the last 3, which are the pieces in between. Use the table to uncurl it. There's my center. The blue stripe. And there's my center. Start gathering outside with the thumbs and both hands, and go to the single hand technique, holding it flat while I bring it up. Not reaching too far, bringing the project to me. Alright, that looks good. Bringing it over, putting the mesh vertically into the horizontal pipe cleaners. Tight, low, twist, twist, twist. Lift the outside cut edge. Everything's in here now. It's getting a little more complicated, but not too bad. Taking the outside cut edge over the inside cut edge. Alrighty there. Alright. This one. And we will have a spare. I will use this one and not this one and save it. Or actually I could use it real quick, and this is my spare one, so I'm going to ruffle it. This one's a little bit different mesh. I'm glad. Interesting. I have a spare pipe cleaner here, but you could use a zip tie as well. So I'm going to put one knot in it just to show you. You could take your extra ribbon and just make a little fluff. You can put it anywhere, maybe on your mailbox. I have another one, but I knocked it on the floor, and I don't really want to show everybody my backside, so we'll leave that there. Alright, back to the project. Clip the center either by folding it in half or following the design. Same thing on the other end, laying it curl side down on the table. Start it with both hands. Gathering up that center blue stripe, which aligns with the blue clip at the top. Take the clip off when we get up there. Gather into your thumb or forefinger, holding it loosely so you can adjust the edges so they match up. So you have a good circle. Bringing your frame over to you with the horizontal pipe cleaners, and put that mesh in vertically, and then twist that pipe cleaner tight and low. 1, 2, 3. I'm not chuckling because of this. I can't share what I'm chuckling about. I just got a text. Oh, some people are very amusing. And it has nothing to do with any of this. Alright, let me cut that extras off. That string there and there. Okay. Last but not least of the mesh. Then we have a decision to make. Curl side down, use the table to uncurl it. Start at the other end, ruffle a little with both hands, then be consistent in the size of your ruffles too. That also helps with the appearance and how it lays. I still had an extra. Oh, I would have had an extra piece. Durr. I'm alright. That text threw me off. Okay. Back in the frame. Horizontal pipe cleaners, vertical mesh. Pipe cleaners around the mesh in the center. Tight and low. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Get it out of the way. Outside cut edge. Over inside cut edge. Outside cut edge over inside cut edge. Just the mesh, not holding the edge, cutting the fray off. There we go. So now the mesh is on. Now a decision has to be made. Do you want to put the second layer of ribbon in first and then the sign on top? Or do you want to put the sign in first and the ribbon on top? I'm choosing to put the sign in first. Keep your bubble wrap until you put the sign in your wreath. So I use it to protect my sign. And I have to lay it like this. So, first thing you need to do is you need to make sure there's, let's see, there's a little bit of fray there. Get off of there. Alright. Some of it's an optical illusion because of all this tinsel on it. So, this is a license plate sized sign. So it is what? This is not a full 12 inches. This is an almost 11 inch by 5. License plate size is 12 by 6, but same concept. So since I'm putting the sign in first, I'm going to make sure all my pipe cleaners are pulled to the outside of the wreath and out of the way. See, I'm reaching across the table. I should have turned it as I went. So you want to make sure that one of your sets of pipe cleaners is at 6 o'clock and one is at 12 o'clock if you're using a clock as an example. That will tell you the center of your wreath. So that will help you keep this centered in the wreath. Now, I know that I'm going to put it between these two and these two this way, but I need to make sure I get it centered here. So there are points on this. I'm using that as my center because that is the center, and I'm placing it right here in the center. This is a good time to stand if you've been sitting to make sure, absolutely sure that you have an equal distance from here to here and here to here, since it's a little bit smaller of a wreath sign. All right, I'm going to sit back down for the next step. I just like the angle better when I'm trying to put it through. So remember I said that I'm using an embroidery needle. Try to bring this in tight so you can see what I'm doing. See the orange? What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the pipe cleaners on the sign through next to these 4 sets from the mesh. But when I do that, I want to make sure I take the needle underneath the sign just a little bit, because we want to make sure you can't see these pipe cleaners from the side, because when people come in the front door, they're going to see your wreath from the side, and we want to make sure all those mechanics are hidden. I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to take the pipe cleaner on the sign on one corner, and I'm going to wrap it around the needle and pull it through. This keeps you from having to struggle. I'm not going to do this one next. I'm going to go horizontal in an X fashion. The reason we do that, it helps you make sure that the sign is flat and not at an angle. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to turn the wreath and not struggle. And I know that it needs to be right inside of this set of pipe cleaners. So again, I'm going to pull this through the mesh. If I were to just do it by hand, you will do that. That's what you'll probably do, unless you go out and get an embroidery needle. They make metal ones too. You would just pull it through the mesh and have your hand on the back side to find the end when it comes through and pull it in. So now I'm going to stand again. I want to make sure that this is still centered with equal distance from the top and the bottom. There we go. And then I'm going to take the bubble wrap packaging that the sign was in to cover the sign while I flip it over, holding it in place, so that while it's upside down like it is now, it's not susceptible to any scratching. It's protected. Yes, I wipe the table down several times a day, but that doesn't mean I got every little piece of metal from the wire ribbon out. And now I'm just twisting the pipe cleaner around the frame, and I'm trying to do it where there's another pipe cleaner so that it all looks as one. Makes it look cleaner that way. See that? Let me go back up here and do this one. And then I'm going to expand the picture again. I'm putting a little pressure on the wreath so that the sign sinks down into the wreath a little bit, but don't push down too hard, because you don't want the wreath to look like everything's bulging out around the sign, okay? Let's go back out and I'll finish it. All right, save that because we're not done with it yet. So now I need to do this one and this one. Got a fray there. There we go. All right. So, I'll get my needle, making sure I put it in a little bit of an angle. Put the pipe cleaner through, fold it over onto the needle. Must have folded at some point. Where did it fold? Okay. It's just my imagination. And do this final one right here. Get that needle through partial way, and that's the last one. There we go. Put that tool away. Put this on the sign so we don't scratch it. Flip it over, and now I get to sit down again. I'm going to take that. I went right through a thread. Huh, happens sometimes. Bring that around the frame, wrapping it around where that other pipe cleaner is from the mesh. And when I'm finished wrapping the pipe cleaner around the frame, I want to make sure that point is pushed down in towards the front, of the wreath. That is so that if this is on a glass door or otherwise, there's no chance that the metal in the pipe cleaner will scratch the door or window. You notice I lifted it before I turned it. That also keeps the integrity of the sign. Don't just turn it and drag the sign around the table. There we go. Where did that come from? Just clean that up. Well, I still have it upside down. Cut all those strings that are hanging out. Oh, I didn't get it off. Really good. There's one there. It's really hard to see them because they're clear. And guys, this is extremely normal. Okay. Flip it back over. We are now done with this. But I like to keep them. Sometimes I get signs in that don't come in those. And now it's time to put in the final ribbon tail bundles. We've already cut everything, so we don't have to do that now. So, I always put the ribbon tails in 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock last. And I usually do this, then this, this, then this. Just simply because I like how it sits. Again, it gives more dimension and style to what you've done. The only real difference on the top layer is we're not doing the inverted V. We're just going to ruffle it down the center. But first I'm going to get my pipe cleaners ready. Make sure they are vertical to me, because the ribbon goes in horizontal where the mesh goes in vertical. So hopefully you're not too confused. Alright, so we're going to ruffle that center. And we're not going to make the V. We're going to put it in. And we're going to twist this tight and low 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now you have a decision to make. Do you want to continue twisting it like you did on the bottom layer, cut the excess off, and then just tuck it behind your tails so all you see is this little button of pipe cleaner? Or you want to do something fancier? I'm going to do something fancier, so I'm not cutting anything until later. And now I'm going to position my ribbon the way I want it to sit. So I'm going to lift it, separate it, place it. Lift and separate, place it. Then twist this one out here and place it, getting those little bubbles out. I'm going to give it a little bit more curl on the top layer. And a good way to do that is with a pen, pencil, or if you have a little dowel, which mine seems to be in hiding today. Or did I put it somewhere? Here's a pencil. We'll use the pencil. Oh, there it is. The pencil's where the dowel was supposed to be, and the dowel was where the pencil was supposed to be. But they're both the same diameter. So pencil or pen would be perfect as well. You can make this, let me do this side first. I squirreled there, I know. Lift and separate. And now I threw it on the floor. I'll use the pencil. I am positioning it as well as curling it just a little bit. Now, if you curl it a lot like I'm going to do right now, it's still going to be fine for a storm door wreath. It's just going to lay it flatter once you get it behind the door. And that will not look smushed, and it will not sacrifice the integrity of the design either. But I like to make sure that when I first make wreaths and I take them to craft shows, I use this. I want people to see how big it can really get. We'll do that last. So this is next. And then I just explain to them with our interaction that it will just lie down and look as beautiful as it did with the fluff in it. But if it's going behind a storm door, you definitely want to keep it under 4 inches. 2, 3 twists. I'm going to put that in the air. So I'm going to do every other with the red firework next to the sign. And then the other, every other has the plaid next to the sign. So that means on this one, the plaid is going to come out towards me. White always in the center. And the fireworks on top. If you're using a pen, make sure you keep the lid on the pen so you don't get any ink on your ribbon. Ask me how I know. Okay. Lift and separate position. Lift and separate position. Okay, so. And sometimes I fluff them all together, just like I did here when I do this. Okay. So now I'm going to turn it back around and do this one, then this one. So basically I did 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Now I'm doing 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, if you're using a clock for your examples, which is what I'm doing. All right, I did this one sideways. Okay, let's get my act together here. Get that in there. Twist tight and low. 1, 2, 3. I just like it with the ribbon on top because it overlaps the sign a little bit, yes, but that just frames it nicely. The only time I really don't put the ribbon in after the sign is when you have a specific shape like an egg or a bunny, or what did I do the other day? A gnome. I want the whole gnome to be seen. I want the tip of the hat and the feet, otherwise the ribbon covers it. Okay, so this should be the same as that one. Lift, separate, place. Lift and separate, place, and place that last one. You can do it with your hands, you can do it with a pen, pencil, a dowel, get that little curl in there, a little poofiness to it. Get that hair out of my face. Lift and separate, lift and separate. So this goes down here, and that. I'm going to do these separately. No, I'm going to try to do them all together. The red one I'll do by itself. It's sticking to the mesh. Now I got to hold it because there's a piece of fray on the outside of that. All right, so now we're going to 8 o'clock. Putting a bundle there. You notice a lot of times I push it out of the way. That's so I don't catch it on things. And so I have enough room to work. So that means the plaid goes down towards me when I lift and separate. Got a loose wire there. Don't pull on it. Just cut it off. The wire has a tendency to settle once you cut the wreath ribbon, and sometimes it'll stick out behind the ribbon. It's not a malfunction. That's just normal. Just cut that excess piece of wire that's beyond the tip of the ribbon off, and you're good to go. I didn't get the bubble out. That's the problem there. Now you can also put some embellishments on the pipe cleaners before you cut the excess off. If you'd like to see how that's done, go back to 2024 in the spring. I did a sunflower wreath and I used sunflower buttons that have a shank on the back. It's a little loop so you can put thread through it. The pipe cleaners fit through it perfectly. Alright, so now we're ready to put the final 2 in at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. This needs to come down further so it matches that one. There we go. That white, it's always trying to hide. So this one will have the plaid up towards the sign and the firework towards the edge of the wreath. And it just sits nicely. It's got a nice pattern to it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so lift and separate. Get that bubble out first, maybe. Lift and separate. Place it. Lift and separate. Place it. Now, Marguerite, pay attention. Firework is up on this side. Down. I was somewhere else in my head, thinking about classes that are coming up, because I do classes. Only for the storm wreaths, though. I've done some more advanced with some students that are more advanced. But then I decided I can reach a bigger audience here. I do not make kits for anything except for Storm Door at this point. And last but not least, let's go to the top. And I have a spare. Finish that poof off to show you. Put this in there, horizontal, tight, and low. 1, 2, 3. Put these out of the way. And this should have the red firework towards the center of the wreath and the plaid to the outside. I did lift and separate all in one move there. When you get more comfortable with what you're doing, you can alter. I'm giving the most basic of directions so that if you don't know what you're doing, I want it to be an experience that you're happy with when you're done. Alright, so now I'm going to take this pencil and I'm going to curl these. I remember I said I wanted to do something with these, like little piggy tails. I like to put them down like that unless I'm putting styrofoam balls. They're called bowl fillers. You can find them anywhere. Hobby Lobby, Michael's, they come in a bag. They're really sparkly. Or if you had little styrofoam stars, you can put those at the end. Sky's the limit. Here's some balls. I made them into picks. But these come in a bag. I just put them on a wire. But this is the balls I'm talking about. And then there are, let's see, these little scatter stars. These are from the Dollar Tree. Those are great for sticking on the end of the pipe cleaner. So what you could do then is just curl it like you already did, or cut them down so you just have very short stumps. So you can curl them on here like this, and then just pull it out and put something on the end of it. But I'm not doing that on this project. So now I'm just going around the wreath and doing these. I'm curling away from me on the inside, I'm curling towards me on the outside. So let me show you that. Curling away from me and towards the sign. And this one's curling towards me. That ribbon right there keeps getting in my way. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Go away for now. So this is the third one. I'm curling away. Curling towards me. This looks very red. If you wanted to look more blue, definitely put the plaid on top. That'll make it less red. I like it the way it is. Curl away. And curl it towards me. Alright. 2 to go. away. Towards me. The dowel is the best thing because you don't have to worry about writing on anything. I'm a little slow because I'm trying to be careful not to run the pencil across any of the ribbon. Away, and then this one's towards me. Okay. And there we have it. Let me just make sure that the ribbon is all to the edge on the bottom layer. Lift the mesh from the top layer up before pulling on any ribbon because you don't want to fray it. All these extra elements are in here now, so we want to be cautious. We want to make sure all that ribbon is seen and not snagged. It happens, but that helps a lot to avoid it. Right there on the mesh. Since I work so close to the edge of the table, the tips of the ribbon have a tendency to get folded, so that's, I don't touch it till I'm completely done. Guess I didn't cut the tip off on that one. All right, so there it is, all done. There is the completed wreath. Now I said in the video that I would show you what the excess pieces look like. If you have any, ignore the pipe cleaner, but you could always place this down here or up here, or like I said, on a mailbox. That's what it would look like. I'm gonna put that aside, and yeah, there's the completed wreath again. It is under 4 inches deep. Look how thin that is. Look at it again. Yep, just under 4 inches deep. So that's perfect for the storm door. And don't forget, like I said, you can fluff up this ribbon and make it much fluffier that way as well. So I just want to thank you once again for spending some time here with me today. I know that you have lots of things that you can do with your time, and the fact that you carve out some of your day to spend with me means a lot to me. I appreciate it. If you like what you've seen, that's straight, right? Yeah. If you like what you've seen, you're welcome to subscribe to the channel. That's free. You can also follow me on all the platforms except for TikTok. That would be Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Facebook is where I do the majority of my communication with the public, including heads up when a video is coming. If you subscribe to Facebook and YouTube, you will get notifications of my videos. I put out a new tutorial every Sunday, God willing, at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's where you can catch all the wonderful things. This will be the last kit for this year for Patriotic, and I will be starting Christmas very soon. I know, it seems so soon. But as makers, we have to get ahead of the game. There will be a few summer designs that videos are made, and there's lots others in the catalog that you can go back and look. Don't forget, like I said, if you want the super piece-by-piece detailed tutorials, you can go back and look at the early 2024 videos, like February and March, and you'll see every little thing done. So thanks again. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.